We usually picture Jesus as a gentle shepherd, but the Christ at the beginning of Revelation is terrifying. He has eyes like a flame of fire, and his voice sounds like the roar of many waters. These letters are surgical inspections of real first-century communities. They were delivered along a specific 300-mile circular Roman mail route across the province of Asia in what is now Western Turkey. Jesus uses the local context of each city, its trade economy, geography, and history to target their specific spiritual blind spots. To understand the warnings meant for us today, we have to look at the map and see exactly what the inspector saw 2,000 years ago. The route begins at Ephesus, a massive gateway city. They were doctrinally precise and highly disciplined, yet they are rebuked for a single deliberate choice. They set down their first love. Further along the route, Pergamum and Thyatira struggled with the pressure of local trade guilds. Membership required attending pagan feasts in Roman temples, a price for doing business. Their letters show that compromise starts as social survival before it hardens into theology. In Sardis, the geography of the city defined its failure. It was an impregnable mountain fortress, yet it was conquered twice because the citizens grew overconfident and left their cliffs unguarded. Jesus applies that history to the church's spiritual state. They had a lively reputation outside, but they were internally dead, caught unawares just like their ancestors. Spiritual death is rarely the result of a sudden external attack. It is the consequence of internal compromise and unguarded complacency. Compare those failures to Smyrna and Philadelphia. These communities were physically crushed by extreme poverty, severe persecution, and repeating earthquakes that toppled their buildings. Despite their lack of worldly power, these two exhausted congregations are the only ones on the entire route to receive zero criticism from Jesus. The inspection ends at Laodicea, a city so wealthy it refused Roman financial aid after a disaster, rebuilding entirely with its own banks and resources. But Laodicea had no local water source. Their water traveled through miles of stone aqueducts, arriving mineral-encrusted and nauseatingly lukewarm. Jesus uses the taste of their own water to diagnose their spiritual condition. They claim to be rich and self-sufficient, but the inspector calls them spiritually bankrupt, blind, and naked. Extreme wealth and self-reliance proved far more dangerous than poverty or persecution. Jesus' actions in this vision match a specific role. In the Old Testament tabernacle, the high priest was responsible for walking among the lampstands, trimming the wicks so the fires wouldn't die out. The promises given to the overcomers in these letters follow a carefully constructed order. These rewards trace the entire biblical story of redemption, beginning with the tree of life in Eden for the church at Ephesus. The progression ends with Laodicea, where the overcomer is promised a seat on the shared throne of the universe. The surgical precision of this inspection is not meant to destroy these churches, but to propel them toward that final triumph. The most severe rebuke on the list is followed immediately by Christ's most tender invitation. He is not kicking the door down with his bronze feet. The God described as having a voice like rushing water is standing outside his own church, knocking. The final takeaway is for anyone who hears his voice. This inspection was not just for ancient cities.